Imagine yourself in a life where you're entirely debt-free. I'm talking about 100% debt-free. You don't owe anyone a single cent. Your house will never be taken away. All you have to do is pay your bills and expenses and utilities. That's my life right now. I want to share with everyone how I paid off my house in 41 months. Hi, I'm Sandra Park. I'm an engineer of over 20 years, and I'm a financial coach for women in STEM. I help women in STEM take control of their finances so their finances don't control them. On this channel, I like to talk about everything from building a budget to building wealth. Let's get into some of the details of my house. I bought this house that I'm currently in back in 2020. To give you some background, I was in a house before where the house payment was a little over $1,700 a month, which wasn't terrible. It was on a 15-year fix, but I had a chance to move because of a job change, and I moved to a different side of my metro area where the houses were a little more affordable, and that was a very conscious decision. I also made a conscious decision to not upgrade my lifestyle. I didn't move into a bigger, more expensive house. I actually downsized a little bit. I would say I didn't really downsize in square feet. My former house and my current house right now, they are very similar size in square feet. But because of the area, that made a huge difference in the cost that I paid for the house. Also, it wasn't as nice of a build. So I did take a little downturn in lifestyle. I still live in a very nice neighborhood. I picked an area with a very good school district for my son that was very important to me, but I don't live right in the center of a city. I have to drive about 20-25 minutes to get to the downtown area of the larger city that I'm a suburb of. So when I bought this house, it was 2020, and I put about 46% down. I know that sounds like a very large down payment, but I just want to be transparent because I have done pretty well with real estate over the years. I actually bought my very first house when I was 18 years old, and every house that I've lived in, I've just made really good real estate decisions. I've always been able to do pretty well on real estate and pick properties that appreciate pretty well. I think maybe one of my downfalls is that I do get a little bored of houses or areas, or because of job changes, I probably move a little too frequently. But I'll also say I didn't make a whole lot off the sale of that last house. It wasn't a large part of that 46% down payment. So I did go into it with a very large down payment. Also, I had been budgeting for years. That's very important to note. I had a very good financial foundation of habits. I didn't go into the house not understanding how much I made or having a plan for my money or not having control of my spending. So when I bought this house, I went into it with no consumer debt, right? So no credit cards, no student loan, no car loans. And I was budgeting pretty regularly. On top of that, in addition to putting that 46% down, I had a fully funded emergency fund. And for me at that time, it was about $20,000 of an emergency fund that I didn't touch for anything unless it was an emergency. I always stress to people that being a homeowner is very expensive. Emergencies that come up as a homeowner cost even more. One emergency, a tree falling down in your yard, that actually just happened to someone that I know. He sent me a picture yesterday. Happens more than you think. Foundation repairs, appliances going out, these are costly. And when you are in the position of being a homeowner, sometimes you can't wait on some of these emergencies. You can't just live without a refrigerator. You can't live with a tree just found in your yard. You can't live forever with foundation problems in your house. Some of these emergencies need to be taken care of. You need money that you set aside that you don't need to touch, and it's not coming out of your monthly budget to pay for some of these emergencies. Okay, some more details about the current house that I have. my monthly payment was a little over $1,000. It was $1,032.52. I'll always have that number emblazoned in my memory as long as I live. I moved into this house. I was making it my huge goal that I wanted it to be the last house that I ever paid on. I wanted to actually stay in a house long enough where I could actually pay down the entire house, have no debt at all, consumer or mortgage debt, be entirely debt-free, have no monthly payments. You think about it, your house, your mortgage is the biggest monthly payment you have. Imagine if you eliminated this. And now that monthly payment is for you. You're not paying it out to someone else. You're not paying off a loan with interest every single month. You can use it for investing. You could save it. You could go have fun with it. So I knew it would open me up to a completely different lifestyle that I really, really wanted. Anyone who follows the Dave Ramsey, they know that paying off the house is baby step 6. You are in what I call the marathon of life, which for the Dave Ramsey baby steps, to me is more baby steps 4, 5, and 6 that you do simultaneously. 4 is saving 15% of your pre-tax household income for retirement. Baby step 5 is funding kids' college, and baby step 6 is paying off the house. Let's talk about the other critical habit that I touched upon a little bit before, and it's called zero-based budgeting. Like I said, I had established a pretty good habit of budgeting. And I'm gonna be honest, budgeting every single day. Because I've been budgeting for so long, it doesn't take me very long to budget. The specific software and app that I used back then is called EveryDollar. EveryDollar has a free account. You can make a plan for your money every single month, and then you track all your expenses and transactions throughout the month to see how your spending actually aligns with that plan you set out. Budgets are not restrictive. Budgets are just helping you become a more intentional spender, using your money as a tool to aid you instead of you working so hard for your money and all your bills. Every single month, I had a budget and I was tracking my expenses, and I looked for any extra money that I could throw at the mortgage. I would send in an extra payment that was principal only. And I actually kept track of it. So let's talk about how I did some of my tracking and kept myself motivated throughout this journey. To be honest, I'm really not the most creative, artistic person. I'm sure there's a lot of different things out there with thermometer charts or chains where you break off the paper chains and all that. I knew I wanted to document my journey, but I needed something more digital. So I am kind of a paper pen person. So even these spreadsheets and software doesn't always help me because I don't always open them up after I create them. I'm gonna open up the app that I had on my iPad. I will drop the link of the specific app I used. It's a really basic app. It's not very pretty or sophisticated. It gets the job done though. So this app that I tracked my payoff, put in the original loan amount, you put in the interest rate. I will note I did have a very low interest rate. I had 2.5% fixed on a 15-year. My loan term was 15 years and I have the start date. In every single entry in here, I went and updated how much additional I paid after I made my regular mortgage payment. And then it shows you the remaining balance, and it actually tells you how much was paid towards principal and how much interest was paid. On the home page of this app, it tells me the total amount of interest I paid over 41 months was $6,510.81. If I'd stuck to that 15-year 180 payment plan, I would have paid a little over $31,000 of interest. I would have paid $31,034.19 in interest if I had stuck to the scheduled plan that my lender wanted me to do. Even though I'm done paying down my house, I'm not gonna delete this app. I love having all the data in here and the track record of all the payments I made. I don't wanna bore you with every single number or detail. I'm gonna just tell you the range of some of the extra payments I made. There are some months where I only made $1,000. More commonly, I did $2,000 extra on top of my payment of the $1,032.52. But there are some times I did get aggressive, because sometimes a 3 paycheck month, or maybe I had some extra money coming in somehow, tax return or other things. The largest additional I ever paid, well, to be honest, it was at the very end. Because at the very end, once I could see that light at the end of the tunnel, I was thinking, I'm just gonna make an extra big payment. To be clear, I did not pull from my fully funded emergency fund to do that. It can be tempting to pull from savings, your fully funded emergency fund, to aggressively pay off debt. I made sure I did not do that because I did not want an emergency to happen while I was paying off the house and not have the funds available. The largest extra payment I made was $8,697.56. And that was my very last payment, because I originally had a goal of being mortgage-free last March 2024. I actually did it in January 2024. I'm coming up on the 1-year anniversary of when I sent in that payment. I sent in that payment January 17th, 2024, a day that will always live in my memory, when I became entirely debt-free and moved on to baby step 7, where I can live and give like no one else. Here's another thing I used when I was paying off my mortgage. I know it's cheesy, I like to do stickers on all my things, and I also have many highlighters. This is actually the amortization table that I got from the house closing. This is the original amortization table. They make you sign it at the end. So if you look on the last sheet, I signed it, there's a date. I pulled this out of my closing papers. On this side, I was tracking years. I made highlights of the payments and the dates. I tracked the payment dates. Kind of nice to see it moving along on this amortization table, tracking my progress. Let's talk about some things that happened during my house payoff journey. I had to replace a roof on a house. My former house had some hail damage. I actually didn't have the best homeowner insurance and had to pay quite a bit out of pocket myself to replace that roof. So lesson learned, especially those people that live in Texas or areas where they get hail. Look into what it costs to replace a roof, because that is sometimes a very likely repair that can happen as a homeowner. I also had, well, I didn't have it myself. My son had all 4 of his wisdom teeth erupt at the same time. I already went through him going through braces, which I paid for out of pocket during this journey too. It's an emergency to take care of this dental surgery to have all his wisdom teeth removed at once. Anyone who's been through that knows how much it costs. Insurance doesn't cover a whole lot of it. A few other things that happened that were good things and also intentional was I did take 2 international vacations while I was on this debt-free house payoff journey. I actually went on another international vacation after I entirely off the house and saved up for that debt-free also. So one big shift that a lot of people have to go through, and I had to go through it myself, is not paying for vacations with debt or on credit cards. Now you save up for vacations. It might take a little bit longer to do the vacation you want, but you're doing it debt-free. That can also slow down a house payoff journey. But remember, if you're in a house payoff journey, this isn't beans and rice. This isn't scorched earth. This is still enjoying your lifestyle. This is being intentional. I still went to Starbucks. I still went out and got boba tea. I still went out to get dinner or lunch, probably more than I should have, at least a few times a week, probably every single week. I went on these vacations. I didn't live like a miser or the same way that people might live when they're in debt. It's not this like foot on the gas type of journey. It's a little bit of a stroll, and it's a marathon, and you're enjoying this lifestyle that you've been able to add back in because you don't have consumer debt, but you also have this other goal of wanting the house to be paid off and to be entirely 100% debt-free. If this inspired you for some ideas for your own journey, please like and subscribe and watch my video where I talk about why people fail with budgeting.